So we looked at net present value, NPV. We looked at IRR, internal rate of return. We looked at MIRR, modified internal rate of return. We looked at PI, or profitability index. Those are the four most common tools in the world to apply against a capital project's cash flow over its entire useful life to determine whether the project meets or exceeds or falls short of our expectations. That's how we basically make the decision if we have no other constraints. But what if we have capital rationing? Capital rationing is a limit to the amount of capital available. So let's really look at this in two different ways. There's hard rationing and there's soft rationing. Hard rationing is the term used in finance to explain when the marketplace will not provide us all the capital we want. Now, some of you may never have seen this situation, but it does happen, and in bad economic times, it happens very frequently. We go in the marketplace to either secure bank debt, or sell more shares, or sell bonds, or even get an additional capital lease. And we can't get all of the capital we want. The marketplace effectively is saying, we don't have the confidence that you can achieve all of your targets. So if capital rationing is divided into hard and soft, and in hard rationing, the marketplace says, we won't give you all the capital you want, that certainly is a reason why we have to take another look at the projects we plan and decide which ones would give us the best return considering what capital the marketplace would give us. Again, the PI, the profitability index function, is a way to rank them on proportional return. IRR and MIRR could rank them based on the annualized return, and NPV will rank them based on cash gain or loss. So capital rationing is a real limitation in the marketplace if it's hard rationing. If it's soft rationing, that's an internal focus. Soft rationing means our organization has decided it won't pursue all of the projects that we may have been looking at, we may have even approved, we may even have funding for, but we're not going to pursue all of that funding. And it may have to do with cost, it may have to do with project management ability. So either one of the rationing functions, hard rationing set by the marketplace or soft rationing established internally, will limit the amount of new capital we're going to obtain. And that's going to limit the number of projects we can analyze and pursue. So we must be aware of this. The basic question, the bottom line is, does the project meet or exceed our targets? If it does, we will generally attempt to pursue it within the limitations we have. If it does not, then the general rule is we'll reject it. So that is what we do up to the point of making the decision on the projects and investing. Okay, so let's say we found one or more good projects and we've put a capital budget together, we've implemented the first phase of that, we've invested our capital, we now are expecting a return. Now we have to look at our post audits. We need to set up a structure where at least once a quarter, we're looking at each project, looking at the costs, looking at the cash flows. Are the costs going out and the net cash flows coming in, are they meeting our forecast? Are they meeting our budget? If they are, we continue to manage the project. If costs are too high, what are we going to do? If cash flow is too low, what are we going to do? That's part of the question we need to answer. So we'll look at and really evaluate this at 4 levels, what's called the 4 management options. And I mentioned this in the last module. The 4 management options we have on any project when we analyze the revenues, expenses, profit, and net cash flow is to continue the project because it's working as we planned. We always hope for this. And many of our projects, if we have done our analysis correctly before we commit to the project, most projects will fit into this arena and we continue. We could expand the project. If a project is going so well, even better than we expected, and the demand in the marketplace is there, we could expand the project, increase the output, add another facility. That would be even better than just continuing. And there are some projects that are that good, that do that well. You probably can think of 1 or 2 products that have really taken over the marketplace. If a project suddenly is not working, not hitting its targets, running into some unexpected surprises, we always have the ability to suspend it. Now, this does not go without a cost. Suspending a project, putting it on hold, has an ongoing cost. Those fixed costs will still be paid. But if there's a major problem and we need to address it before we decide what we'll do next, then suspending a project is an alternative available to us in some situation. And in the worst case scenario, if the project is a disaster, if we made a major mistake, if the product is no longer viable in the marketplace, if there's some significant extraneous event, external variable that will prevent us from ever making this project work appropriately, perhaps it's better to shut the project down now rather than continue it on even longer. None of these, particularly the last 2, we will look at lightly. A post-audit is a very important part of our capital budgeting. Most of the focus is on the front end, gathering the data, doing the analysis, making the decisions, giving the go, starting the project. And we need to do that. But we also need to analyze on an ongoing basis all of the information that we have to determine if a project is working or not. And if it's right on budget and right on target, and this is rarely the case, then we'll continue. If it's close enough to budget, we'll probably continue. If it's consistently exceeding it and the market opportunity is there, definitely expand. That's the exception. If there's short-term problems, we'll suspend the project until we can fix them. And action plans are critical here. If we absolutely made a mistake on this and we will not recover, and the longer we run the project, the more we'll lose, then we go to option 4 and close it down. That's really what we need to do. It's taking a practical, realistic view of our project. And this is one of the reasons that we want to spend significant time and drill down before we commit to a given project. So in this module, we've really defined a project. We've talked about the cost of equity and how we calculate it, the cost of debt and how we calculate that, as well as the components. We went through an Excel spreadsheet on the weighted average cost of capital, not only how to calculate it in Excel, but what changing the proportions will do to that blended cost. We looked at net present value and profitability index as tools to calculate that cash gain or loss, both in currency and proportionally on projects. We looked at internal rate of return and modified internal rate of return as 2 different ways to calculate the annualized % return on a project. Which of these four we use to make the decision, that's a management choice. They're all perfectly good. We looked at capital rationing, and finally the post audits. All of these elements of capital budgeting, if we use them appropriately, will give us a much better opportunity to have significant returns that are predictable on all capital projects. That's the end of Module 6. Until next time, this is Daniel Feynman saying thank you very much. I'll see you next time.